I stood at the edge of the staircase, holding my phone, pretending to scroll. It didn't notice me. My father was laughing. A real laugh. The kind I hadn't heard since the accident. And sitting beside him was a woman who looked exactly like my mother. Same eyes, same smile, same way of touching his arm. For a moment, my heart did something strange. It wasn't anger. It wasn't jealousy. It was confusion, because everything looked right. But I felt completely out of place, like I was the only one who remembered that 6 months ago, my mother was still alive. They told me it was a car accident. They said it was sudden. They said she didn't feel pain. They said God had called her back. I nodded. I believed them. I buried my face in her and tried to keep breathing. After that, life moved on. Just not for me. My father stopped talking much. I stopped sleeping. And then my aunt moved in, my mother's twin sister. At first, I hated it. Every time she walked into the room, it felt like my mother had come back, but wrong. Like a reflection that didn't blink when you blinked. But grief makes you tired of fighting. She cooked like my mother. She folded clothes like her. She even said my name the same way. Slowly, I stopped flinching. When my father told me he wanted to marry her, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I told myself, maybe this is how broken families survive. My grandmother called me into her room one afternoon. Her voice was low. Her hands shook as she held mine. "You're old enough now," she said. "You deserve the truth." I laughed nervously. "What truth?" She looked away. "Your father and your aunt. They were not strangers to each other before the accident." She told me my mother had found them together. She told me my mother cried for days, threatened to leave, threatened to expose them. And then, a few days later, my mother died. I remember standing up so fast my chair fell. "No," I said, "that's not possible." But my grandmother didn't argue. She only said, "Some accidents are planned." After that day, I couldn't unsee things. The way my aunt avoided my mother's pictures. The way my father went silent when her name was mentioned. The emerald necklace my mother never removed. The necklace that disappeared after the funeral. I told myself I was imagining things. Until one night, I heard her. I was walking past her bedroom when I heard laughter. Soft. Proud. The door was half open. She was standing in front of the mirror. In her hands was the emerald necklace, my mother's necklace. She lifted it against her neck and smiled. "Look how beautiful this looks on me," she said. Then she whispered something that still echoes in my head. "I always loved it. Just like I loved you." She paused. "My sister had everything." Her smile widened. "And now, I have it all." I couldn't breathe. Because in that moment, the accident stopped being an accident. I didn't confront them. I watched. I searched. Old messages, old witnesses, a mechanic who remembered faulty brakes that were never faulty before. Piece by piece, my mother's death stopped being mysterious. It became intentional. She wasn't taken by fate. She was removed. I went to her grave alone. I sat on the cold ground and talked to her like I used to. "They're living your life," I whispered. "They wear your house, your husband, your name." My voice broke. But I see them now. I placed the emerald necklace on her grave. "I won't forget," I said. "And God doesn't forget either." The wind moved softly through the trees. For the first time in months, I felt heard. I walked away from the grave knowing one thing. The truth doesn't stay buried forever. And when it rises, someone will finally have to answer. After that night, I didn't look at them the same way. I stopped calling her aunt. I stopped calling him dad in my head. But I acted normal. I smiled at dinner. I listened to their conversations. I let them think I was still the confused, quiet girl they could ignore. Because anger makes mistakes. And I couldn't afford one. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth to speak louder than me. So I started documenting everything. Dates, times, conversations that stopped when I entered the room. I recorded her voice when she talked too freely. I copied old messages she forgot still existed. I found the mechanic who admitted someone had paid him to miss a brake issue. Every piece felt small, but together, they told one story. There were nights I almost gave up. I'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering, what if no one believes me? What if I ruin my own life trying to fix hers?
They were adults. They were calm.
They were convincing.
I was just a teenage girl.
But then I remembered my mother's face the last morning I saw her. Quiet, distracted, already carrying a secret too heavy for her heart. And I kept going. The police didn't listen at first. They called it an accident. They called it grief. But evidence doesn't cry. It waits. And when it finally spoke, it spoke clearly. Brake tampering, contradicting timelines, financial motives. The emerald necklace. The room went silent. For the first time, they weren't smiling. I wasn't there when they were taken away.
I didn't want to see their faces fall.
Justice didn't need an audience. I just wanted my mother's name cleared. And when the case closed, I went somewhere quiet. That night, I stood outside alone. The moon was bright. The sky was full of stars. I tilted my head back and whispered, "They know now." My voice shook. But this time, it wasn't fear. I didn't forget you. I didn't replace you. I didn't stay silent. A tear slipped down my cheek. But I finished what you couldn't. The stars didn't answer. But for the first time, the silence felt peaceful. People say justice brings happiness. It doesn't. But it brings rest. And as I looked at the sky, I understood something. The truth always finds its way back to the light, even if it has to pass through a daughter first.